What's up, guys? Welcome to Salty Sports Season 2, Episode 2. Today, we're going to be discussing March Madness. I know
Yes, in its entirety. Well,
yep,
it's fun.
it's
It's just
a
fun. We
week
we
and
have
a
some
half.
opinions to discuss, some NBA draft
Yeah,
stuff. First
so it's
game
a
is
week and a
the
half. Well, wait,
yeah.
wait, wait. It's like a week and a half since the tournament actually happened. So we're a little behind, but to be fair, we were both on spring break on vacationing while it was going on, so we couldn't fully discuss it then.
Yeah.
Um, but let's get into it. We'll start off with the first four. And so the first four, a lot of the games were really close. Norfolk State beat Appalachian State by one. Drake beat Wichita State by one. And then my team, UCLA, had an absolutely great game against Michigan State. They came back towards the end. They brought it to overtime, and then they pulled ahead in overtime uh, and got the win. Now, I remember Elkin and I were watching the Selection Sunday ceremony together, and when we saw
Oh
that
yeah.
game, we were shocked. It was uh,
Which one was that? The
the seeing the Michigan State UCLA. I think
yeah.
everybody was like, "How are these two teams? Both were great throughout the season and
They
deserve to be
shouldn't
in the
have been in that
tournament."
play-in game, but although that
They
was a good game to
definitely were
see.
both. They were both better, but that was an amazing game. Then moving on to the first round, Elkin, there's one big game I know you really want to get to. So
Yes, and that game is the let's find it. Let's see if it'll show up for me. The Ohio Virginia game. I predicted Ohio would win in every single bracket, and I was right. Oh,
yeah,
sorry, you're
that
talking
was
about the Oregon VCU game, right?
no, yeah,
No,
definitely,
no. Oh, you're talking about the Abilene Christian? No.
yeah, that
Hmm.
one.
That no. It might be the hmm.
Was it Moorhead State?
Oh, here we go. Ohio State Oral Roberts. Who would have
Yes,
thought? Who would have
Ohio
thunked?
State versus uh
So to discuss
Oral
this Ohio
Sex
to
School.
Oral State. So nobody really thought. Well, nobody really thought like Oral Roberts would win. But as soon as they
Yeah,
beat Ohio State, we all
we
predicted they would beat
actually
Florida because it
we
made
created a
sense.
bracket before the tournament that had them going all the way in one bracket, and
That was the thing
after
is like
that,
nobody thought they would actually do well, but once they beat
yeah,
Ohio State, Florida, they were a really good matchup for Florida.
oh
It
yeah,
made so much
well,
sense for them to
the
beat it. As
Florida.
we both said, Florida turns the ball over, and Oral Roberts shoots the three-pointer. A fast break team.
Exactly. Works
They're
hand in
not
hand.
contesting. It makes so much sense. Like they would
And
beat Florida. We all
here's the
predicted that
thing.
after the Ohio State game.
Here's the thing is I wasn't sure. I picked Virginia Tech in most of my brackets. If Oral Roberts had to play Virginia Tech, I don't think they would have won because Virginia Tech is good at slowing down the pace of the game and controlling the ball really well. But because Florida beat them, I we both immediately knew Oral Roberts is going to the Sweet 16, and they did. That was one of the best runs of the tournament, and unfortunately, they lost that
Yeah,
heartbreaking
the
game to
Razorbacks.
Arkansas.
Yeah, the
It's
Razorbacks. They're
another
both teammates and family.
mhm. the
They have the same
Arkansas.
motto.
Arkansas just another really fast paced team, and they played really great as well. Another upset actually in that part of the bracket was probably the upset I would have least predicted. Looking back on the tournament,
North
is I
Texas.
in none of my brackets did I take North Texas over Purdue. I could have seen Purdue going to the Final Four realistically. They played so well throughout the regular season, and I thought there's no way whatsoever that they lose this game to North Texas, but they did. And looking back, Oral Roberts may have been underseeded, so it's reasonable that they beat Ohio State. But North Texas taking out Purdue was kind of just
We were
insane.
live in a like
We were
a
in a
plaza
sports
for
bar watching that
yeah.
while it happened. It was crazy.
Yeah,
Next,
we
we'll
kind of
move.
had to like yeah, but like
Yeah,
so that's the discussion. The game of that honestly, this the first round was probably the best game to watch, like the most exciting game, closest game. I'm not sure actually, but let's discuss
I'd
that.
say it was the Oral Roberts Ohio State because that one went into overtime. Ohio State missed the buzzer beater, and Oral
Mm,
Roberts took home the win. I loved watching that. We watched that during school in class on our computers because
yeah,
it was such a great game.
but that I think honestly that might not have been the best game. Like, well, I guess that was the closest game, but that was like well, everybody in my class, well, I was in like a pretty like a class where like nobody really is like that into it, so it kind of like the excitement wasn't. But if
I
I'd
was
been
in
in
math
like,
class and
oh
I
yeah,
was
I was in
watching it on
English.
my
It was
Oh
English.
no, wait, no, right. I was in English. Math was the day before. I was in English, and I was watching on my computer, and the guy behind me
Yeah,
was like looking at my computer screen, and he saw, and he was like, "Damn,
everybody's watching. But like,
yeah."
if I
And
would have been in
then
the same class, we would have like gotten up and started yelling. But like, we were
mhm.
texting each other a ton. That was a fun game to watch. That was
It
probably the best
was.
one of the first round.
And
Second
one
round,
other
best
game. Wait,
game.
wait, 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 wait. One other game that you predicted totally wrong is you said Colgate was going to beat Arkansas, and at first it was looking all right,
They
but
were
then
up
they went on a
35 to.
17-0 run before half for
I
Arkansas to take the lead, and then they just killed them.
I felt so bad. Like I thought I'd gotten it right. My bracket though, after the first round, like after like while we were in the second round, I was still 99.98% top
Same.
0.02%.
And here's
It
the
was so
thing with I we both had a few brackets. My brackets on the first day were totally destroyed. On the second day of the first round, on the other half of the bracket, they they were amazing. Each of them only lost
mine
one or
were the
two
thing is
games that
mine were
day.
amazing on both sides. The one thing that really got me though, that really messed up my bracket was Oregon VCU because I had predicted I think VCU was gonna win in some of the brackets, and that kind of well there were other things, but
Yeah,
by the way, I
I
caught
could
that.
have
But then the
right
Ohio
for
Virginia, I predicted Ohio would win, so I was spot on for so many guesses. At least
right.
one bracket I
So
said for ESPN, I was top 0.02%.
in some of my brackets, I took Ohio, and some of them I took Virginia. I wasn't really sure, but the one game I knew was not going to be an upset. Everybody was saying, "Oh, UCSB is good; they're going to compete with Creighton," and I wasn't buying it. I knew Creighton
Me
would pull
neither.
ahead,
Creighton won by
and
1 point though.
they won. It was a close game, but they
I remember
did win it.
that's the game that I think we actually watched. That was a weird one.
We did also watch that, I believe, like
The
at my
one game,
house or
probably
something.
there were two games that I didn't watch in the first round. Well, three: Alabama, Iona, UConn, Maryland, Texas, Abilene, Christian. That
Yeah,
bottom left part
there
of the
were a
bracket I
few
just didn't watch.
I just didn't quite see, but I caught most of
Yeah,
them, at least part of it.
we ran out of free
The
trials,
Ohio
but yeah,
one was good. Yeah. Then Kansas Eastern Washington, you predicted Kansas to go to like the Final Four in some of your brackets. I said they're not making it past Iowa. Um, and I wasn't sure at first when they were playing Eastern Washington because the Eagles held that one close against them. I believe Eastern Washington's the
yeah, the
Eagles,
best
but
Eagles in sports.
mhm,
Yeah, and then they lost
better
to
than the
USC, but
NFL.
like that was mainly just a
Yeah,
fun thing where I was just trying to troll you. But my big
yeah,
prediction
you had
was
them in some of them,
my
but
big
yeah,
prediction was well, my big prediction that I got right was Ohio beating Virginia. I had Gonzaga losing in the national championship, and actually most of my brackets. Uh, I had UCLA going really far in a lot of the brackets too, and Loyola
same.
Chicago. I had them beating Illinois, but then they got like and Syracuse. I had Syracuse going far too, but yeah, Rutgers.
Okay,
Like a lot of things I just got right. They
so
just
let's
didn't
go
work
over
out in
and
the end.
let's look at that part of the
Let's just
bracket.
follow
You
UCLA's
had
path. Let's
no
follow
no no no
UCLA.
no no. Let's look at the East region right now and just
All
go
right.
through. First the Colorado Georgetown. We watched that one together. We
Colorado. Oh wow, that was insane. I
Colorado
think Georgetown
dominated
was
them.
up, and then no, sorry,
A lot of
Georgetown was
people
up, and then
predicted the
Colorado broke
upset
back.
there. A lot of people predicted the upset there, but Colorado never let them get. Georgetown was up, Colorado came back, and then Colorado never let them back in the game. A lot of people had the upset, but Colorado they beat them, they won.
Yep. And then
And then there was the Yukon Maryland, which
that game I
I
predicted UConn to
really
win a bunch.
I really could have seen go either way. In some of my brackets, I had it go
Yeah,
one
I
way. Some of them
predicted
I had the
UConn a
other.
bunch. I predicted
And I
UConn.
believe that was the game that killed the final perfect bracket that was out there. Lost at that game. Then we have Texas Abilene Christian, which was a crazy game. A lot of people had Texas in the Final Four, Elite Eight, somewhere around there. I only had them going one, maybe two or three
Which team is
rounds.
this?
Texas, and then
Texas. I had them going not that far.
Abilene Christian hit those clutch free throws at the end to
Yeah, that's
win,
the game
and
I didn't
it was
watch.
nuts. That was one
And
of them
then
that
you
I
have
was watching.
the team that we both
Then
picked would go really far was UCLA. That was the one that
yes,
honestly weren't
and
surprised. We said the
okay,
winner of the UCLA Michigan State game was going to the Final Four.
I am biased because my dad's a UCLA alum and I'm a UCLA fan. I am
UCLA
biased,
fan,
but
Stanford
I
fan,
said
Oakland A's
yeah.
fan, San Francisco Giants fan, Oakland Raiders fan, Las
No,
Vegas Raiders
not
fan,
Raiders.
Niners
Niners,
fan.
Sharks
Sharks. He gets
fan,
so many
Warriors
teams to be
fan.
fans of. It's not fair. Dodgers
I'm
fan
a
too.
Bay
He gets
Area
so
fan.
many teams
I'm
to be
not a
fan.
Dodgers fan.
Yeah.
I'm
Oh
not a
yes. You
Dodgers
remember
fan.
in the World Series because your mom's a Dodgers fan. You said you were a Dodgers fan too.
No, I was
Daniel, I
hoping they
caught
would
you.
win one
I
for
caught
her.
you when you were trick or
No,
treating.
I said I was hoping they would win one for her, but I'm never cheering for the Dodgers.
Caught in 16K.
No,
No,
you don't
but
even have a okay. You don't even have a 1080p
I have an
camera.
Android.
But back to the games though. UCLA BYU. I knew people were like picking BYU a majority of the picks. I knew that UCLA or Michigan State was going to win that. I was like, there's no
Whoever
way that
UCLA,
those
Michigan,
teams
whoever
lose
Michigan
to
State, sorry, Michigan State, UCLA, we
Michigan State,
predicted the
UCLA.
winner of that game. Sorry, we predicted if UCLA won, they'd go to the Final Four. If Michigan State won, they'd go to the, I think it was
Well,
like
no.
Elite
You
Eight.
predicted them to go to like the Elite
I
Eight or Sweet
predicted
16.
UCLA to
But
go to the Final Four, but I
no.
predicted
You
Michigan State
predicted
to only
them.
go to the Elite Eight.
You said they were going to
Like,
go
I
to
didn't
like
put it
the
in my
Elite Eight
bracket, but I
or
told
Sweet
you.
16. Well, right. I was the one who said whoever wins that game, they're going to pull off some upsets.
Yes, we both
And
said
then
that. That was the big
I
thing
think
about
that
that.
they got lucky drawing Abilene Christian because Texas is a lot harder of a team, and facing that hard of a
They would have
team
lost to
that
Texas,
early
I think.
on, that yeah, I think facing that hard of a team that early on is going to be a tough challenge. But because they got Abilene Christian, they got one more game really to
Then,
get
so
into
these are the
it.
teams they beat. They beat BYU,
They
upset,
beat
not too
Michigan
unexpected. Sorry,
State,
so Michigan State, then BYU. Michigan
BYU.
State's a better team, one of the better teams, honestly, top half of the entire tournament. And then
Right.
they beat BYU, was pretty good. Then they beat Abilene Christian, which is not that good of a team. Then they beat Alabama, 2 seed,
Alabama.
Michigan,
Okay,
1 seed,
I was
and
watching.
then the Gonzaga game.
Dude,
Oh
okay, we'll
my
get to that. We'll
God!
get to that. We'll get to that. We'll get to that. But Alabama game. I was watching that, and oh my god, I forget who it was. One of the guys on Alabama hit a buzzer beater to tie it at the last second. I was like, no, we
No.
almost have the win. It's going to overtime. We're gonna
And
lose.
then
And
UCLA
then they
scored 10
clutched
points.
up, and yeah, well, they scored more
We
than
saw a lot
10,
of
but they
overtime
won by
games
10.
where it was like a buzzer beater game tying thing, and then in
It was
overtime, one
either a
team
buzzer
ran away
beater
with it.
or it
Yeah.
wasn't even close. Yeah.
No, but yeah,
Um.
it's like it's so weird because like once the team
Mhm.
got to overtime, they ran away with it, except for like Final Four game
Yeah.
and stuff like that. But
Then
so yeah,
there's
we were discussing this. This
Michigan,
was another thing we were
UCLA.
discussing before we get to that. Houston has the easiest path in the world to the
Oh
Final
yeah, we
Four.
haven't
We
even.
both.
Well,
I
we'll
said
get
that beforehand.
right.
Daniel, let's talk
We
instead
will
of
we will
going
get
over
to
the
that
news.
part
Let's
of the
just get to
bracket,
things.
and once we're done with the Michigan with the Michigan UCLA game before we move on to Final Four. Michigan UCLA, that was another close one. Oh my God, UCLA was killing me watching these games as a fan. They were holding them so close, but they were against really good teams. An 11 seed beating a 1 seed to make the Final Four. I can't complain. Um,
Oh my gosh,
so yeah,
UCLA, most fun team to watch.
yeah, they were great.
Let's
Now before we
go.
get to the Final Four games,
As
now
the
we got to look
baby
at
once
the
said, let's
we got to get to
go.
the
All
we
right.
got to get to
So
the
first, I want to do a quick discussion, like
Midwest
2 minute rapid discussion. Best game of the second round.
best game of the second round. Let me look through all of them really
I have
quickly.
one in mind.
I have one in mind currently. Yeah, I have one in mind
I
for
have Syracuse,
closest
West
game, and I
Virginia.
have
That
one
was the
for
best game.
best game.
Syracuse, West Virginia was the best game by far for me. Did you
Yeah,
not
I
see
would
Buddy
say
Boeheim and hitting all those threes from half court, and then West Virginia keeping up with them, hitting those threes back? Oh my
it
god, that was the
was it
most
was
exciting game
great.
of the tournament for me.
But
One,
but
probably.
but I've got to say my favorite game is okay. I
Florida,
don't
Florida.
no. I don't like USC. As a Stanford fan, I hate USC. However, I like it when Pac-12 teams win in the tournament because it earns us respect. It shows, hey, you're underseeding these teams. You need to give the Pac-12 more respect and say, oh
Yeah,
yeah,
well,
they
before
are
we go on,
actually
Daniel and I were
playing well.
discussing this.
So I
He just said that
loved
every sport how
USC
Pac-12 teams
beating
beat up on each other, and that Stanford in 2015 should have been to the college.
They should have. They beat Iowa in the Rose Bowl. They beat number 5. Okay, that's a different discussion. But 2015 Stanford, Christian McCaffrey, they were number 6. Iowa was number 5, and they beat Iowa by like 30 points in the Rose Bowl. But they didn't make the college football playoff. They should have. The pack bias is
No, but you
insane
guys
in sports.
lost. Yes, but we were talking about how this
I
really showed.
know.
Pac-12 teams were really good this year, but then
The
unfortunately you
Pac-12
had to
teams.
have.
The tough thing is
Well, what
during
would have
the
been better
regular
if Oregon
season,
did VCU,
right?
yeah.
During the regular season, Pac-12 teams just beat up on each other, and it harms them so much. But because the other conferences don't realize, that they're just as good when they actually play in the tournament and in the the playoffs. But I loved seeing USC beat up Kansas, not because I like USC, but because it helps the Pac-12's
Oh, by the
reputation and
way,
will help my team.
just quick thing, trip to San Diego recently. I visited USC. It was actually pretty nice.
Yeah, I haven't been
Neighborhood
to the
around, not
USC
so much,
campus.
but USC is pretty nice.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with that. But I haven't been to USC, but I have
There
been
was
to
a really
UCLA.
good
It's
taco
also
place
nice.
there, though. Oh, there was this taco place I
Sweet.
went to by UCLA. This is just a quick discussion thing. But UCLA,
Uh,
this taco place they went to, best tacos they've ever had.
okay, now let's discuss the Midwest region. The Midwest region, because that's the
All right,
one
yeah.
we haven't got to. You have the game that shocked me the most was Illinois Loyola Chicago, and it
Really?
really shouldn't have.
I wasn't that surprised.
It should not have been that much of a shock because looking at Loyola Chicago, their defense is sick. It was number one in KenPom rating, and I was just saying, oh, I was thinking there's no way they go on another run like they did before. Teams are aware that they're a good team and they'll be able to stop them, and they come out of nowhere and beat one seed Illinois, and I was shocked.
I was not. I actually predicted. I think I told you about a few days
You
earlier.
predicted that
I
in
predicted
one
that
bracket.
Loyola. Well, I didn't put in my bracket because it didn't make sense to me. But I told you ahead of time, Loyola is going to beat Illinois, and then they're going to beat Oregon State, and then they're going to beat Houston, and then they're going to beat Baylor.
Hmm.
But
And
unfortunately, they
that
lost
brings
Oregon
us
State.
to
But
the
yeah.
Oregon State. Oregon State, Oklahoma State was also, this whole region was just like crazy. Oregon State beating Oklahoma State.
But honestly,
I
sadly that
saw
was the
Oregon
least
State
crazy
beat.
region.
No, no, no.
It might have been the least crazy region of all.
I saw Tennessee beating Oregon State simply because they'll pull off a first round 5-12 upset like a lot of teams do, and it's a Pac-12 team, and they've been doing well in the tournament. Then they beat Oklahoma State and Cade Cunningham. That was another one that was like, what? And then they beat Loyola Chicago, who had just beat number one seed Illinois, and I was done with it. My bracket was so busted up
Yeah.
at that point, and
Most upsets,
of
I think,
course
in the
they
first
lost to
rounds
Houston.
ever.
It was probably not ever,
I
but
don't know, but
like
I'm
in
looking at
recent
the scores.
history.
One thing, Norfolk State, Appalachian State, 54-3, 53, and then Drake, Wichita State, 52 to
Yeah, I
52.
said that
So
earlier.
those are close games. I
Close,
didn't
close
like.
games too.
I just noticed it.
The first four. Yeah. You just then
Yeah,
obviously
I didn't
Syracuse
watch
had a
those.
pretty good run that Houston ended. They were great from behind three. Then we get to the final four. Is I think what we're up to. We have Gonzaga versus UCLA and Baylor versus Houston. Let's start with Baylor Houston. Baylor absolutely annihilated them. It wasn't really close at any point, and they
Yeah,
just played so well.
honestly, Houston, as I said, they were. I
They
think
had
they
a
were
they had
overseeded.
a
They were
cakewalk.
seated too high. I feel like they were seated
They
too
were
high.
definitely they played almost nobody good during the regular season. And let's
They had a
look at a
good
couple
defense,
of
but that was about it.
right. Let's
Syracuse,
look at a
honestly,
couple of
sorry,
three
just a
seeds.
quick thing. Syracuse, West Virginia. I honestly think it was a better game than second best game of the
Yeah,
tournament for me, behind
I think
Gonzaga, UCLA, of course, which we'll get to
there are
later.
four. There are some 3 and 4 seeds who I think are definitely better teams than Houston heading into the tournament that deserve that spot over them. But that's not how it went. Now, Final Four, Baylor they just killed Houston. Then the Gonzaga UCLA game. This
All right,
this
let's
was
talk about.
one
I'm
of
going to talk
the
about. Let's talk about where we
best.
were. I
Okay,
was in San Diego by the beach, staring at the TV for the last. No, that was the wrong game. My bad. Ignore what I said, please.
okay, never mind. What was the other one?
Where were we?
Where
I
were you
forgot where I
that
was.
time?
Honestly, where was I?
Okay, I'm probably never gonna forget this, but I just arrived in Puerto Vallarta in Mexico that night on a plane flight,
Ah, yes, I remember where I was.
and
Yeah.
my family went out with some friends to
Soft
eat
flex.
dinner at the restaurant. Yeah,
Yeah,
lucky.
maskless like good Republicans.
No, we were at a restaurant at the hotel with some
Emphasis on
friends.
not Republican, not Republican.
All right. Yeah. Okay. Wait. Let me finish. So we were eating at this restaurant, and uh, we just ordered food, and I saw the game was past halftime, and it was close, and I was like, "There's no way UCLA is keeping this close," just because Gonzaga so dominant, undefeated, and so I had to go to the bar in the lobby at the hotel, and it was a lot of Gonzaga fans that were there. There were a few guys wearing Gonzaga jerseys cheering them on. But there was one guy who was awesome, so funny, who was sitting in the back in this chair. And so my friend and I stood next to him. We were talking with him. He was cheering UCLA just to egg on the Gonzaga fans, and it was pretty funny. So we were sitting there cheering with him, and there were a few points there where my heart was beating so hard. It was such a great game and an amazing atmosphere. So Elkin, if you remember, where were you?
All right, so I was sitting on the couch. We were watching a TV show with my family, and I pulled up my phone. I watched maybe the last 20 minutes of the game, and I was so surprised that UCLA was keeping up with Gonzaga.
Same.
It was, well, UCLA, I had expected them to be good, but not that good. So coming up, I will tell a story of then the game. So coming up, you had the overtime shot.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry, well,
Wait.
you had
Wait.
the game tying
Okay.
shot,
Yeah.
first of all,
Well, yeah.
in
You had
regulation.
so you had in regulation. Oh my god, it was just back and forth and amazing. There was UCLA had the ball with 11 seconds left, a chance to take it down for the win while it was tied, and they fouled him, offensive foul, and I was so pissed because there had been so many bad calls up to that point, and they finally they make a good call, but it's for the other team. Um, and so I was so mad, but then Gonzaga missed the buzzer beater in regulation, sending it to
Yeah,
overtime.
Gonzaga never makes buzzer beaters, right?
Uh-huh. In
Yeah, all right.
regulation.
So then I'll get to this part. So overtime, you have both teams like racing after it. I think there was a few quick
Gonzaga
points
was
scored and then it
ahead.
slowed down a bit. So then Gonzaga with I think about 6 seconds left in overtime, Gonzaga was up 2 points. Who was it?
Johnny
Zhang.
Juzang
Zhang.
takes it to the ring, misses
No, he
second
yes.
chance layup, hits the shot to tie with 3 seconds left. And
Honestly,
at
the
that
for
point
if
in the bar, all the Gonzaga guys were like holding their head, like shaking, like, no, it's gonna go to double overtime. And
because there were a bunch of
I
Gonzaga fans in Puerto
mhm,
Vallarta.
yeah,
Well,
I don't
isn't
know
Gonzaga
why,
from like
but
Washington?
yeah, I don't know why
That's
they were there,
like
but they were.
That's like when you
But
have all the Patriots fans in like I don't know Los Angeles or whatever. It's
mhm.
like makes no
And
sense.
then I was watching. I didn't look away because I had a feeling, and I know you said you had a feeling too.
No, as soon as I
And
saw him miss the first shot, I'm like, this is not going to go well because
well, no,
if
no, 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 no,
but
no.
we're going to get to
I
that.
saw
I'll tell
Juzang
you this
make it.
right.
I
But
saw Juzang make it.
if he had not missed the first shot,
If he had made the
UCLA
first
would have gone
shot,
to double overtime
yeah, I think it would have gone double overtime, and we have no
because
idea who would have won from
UCLA
there.
wouldn't have locked down on defense because they know there's 5 seconds left.
Right,
There would have been a timeout
but
taken
because he made
by
it,
whoever
three
had it.
seconds left. Everybody else was looking away from the TV, and I was watching, and Suggs takes it up about right in front of half court and takes a shot, and I was, as soon as I saw that, I'm like, no, it's going in, it's going in, and it was,
Oh,
dude,
okay.
it's
By the way,
so
for post
painful.
editing, Daniel here, insert Colin Coward's tweet
Yes,
on
I will.
YouTube.
I will put that in the YouTube
But
video.
yeah,
Dude, oh my god, that was the most that's like one of the most painful things you can see as a sports fan is your team getting like a walk off or a buzzer beater against you in a huge game like this.
Final Four games are more exciting than national championship games. I feel like that's been it for
Yes,
like 10 years.
that's true because usually you have lower seeded or underdog teams who are able to pull an upset,
You
who are
also have
able to
more
do something
games.
big.
I feel
That's
like
true.
there's more coverage of the Final Four than of the national championship game. Like I know more people watch more Final Four games than national championship games. I'm ignoring the fact that there's two of them. You just watch more of it.
Right. But yeah, oh my god,
But that
that shot was
shot.
nuts, dude. And it's of course I was complaining because it should have gone double overtime. I mean, he didn't call bank. You gotta call bank,
Yeah,
Jalen
they should just
Suggs.
automatically give it back.
Yeah, they
But
should
then,
have
so then
given it
so
back.
we were
Yeah.
discussing this. Well, I talked about this a few days ago with Daniel, which was if Juzang had made the first shot, there would have been what 5.4 seconds left. UCLA would have not lacked on defense, and one of the teams would have taken a timeout. I think UCLA
Yeah.
might have still had a
I
timeout.
think
Point is,
Gonzaga
there
had
would
a
have
timeout.
no, they
I
didn't because
think.
otherwise they would have called it before the inbound. That they any team, good
No, no, no,
normal
no,
team
no.
would do that. They would have called it with 3.4 seconds, 100%. Yeah, but I think nobody had one. I think I remember them taking it earlier, and there was some weird commercial break. Point is, if he had not missed the first shot, there would have been 5.4 seconds left, and UCLA would have not lacked as much on defense. There would have been more time for Jalen Suggs to bring it up the court.
Hmm.
Likely would have been he probably still would have hit that like deep three or whatever. But the point is, I feel
But
like it would
I
have gone to
don't
double
think I think
overtime,
it
and
would
then
have
who
could
knows
have.
what have happened.
Yeah, exactly. But oh my god, honestly, that is probably the best college basketball game I've witnessed live. Now, that's not to say that there are probably better games in college basketball history that have happened, but that's really saying something. I watched the, I believe it was 2016 national championship where you had the buzzer beater for Villanova to win it all. That was another amazing game, very
But I
close,
felt like
competitive.
the
But
lack of
this one,
fans made it feel almost that more immersion. You got to
yeah,
see the
this
players,
one
not
had so much. It was so special. Is really, I think, how I have to describe it. There was so much going into it. Having the tournament canceled last year, having undefeated Gonzaga, it was just amazing, and I'm sad with the outcome, but
then we
that's just
have,
how it
well, I think we
is.
have one more
Well,
game to discuss.
there's not much of a discussion. Baylor beat the hell out of Gonzaga.
UCLA
I was
showed that
at
Gonzaga was
rest. Yeah.
beatable. UCLA showed that
Yes,
Gonzaga was
that's
beatable, and
that's
then
what I
Gonzaga.
said right after the national championship game. I texted Elkin. I said what UCLA did is they showed both Gonzaga and they showed Baylor that Gonzaga is beatable. Nobody else had held it even that like close to that. Nobody else taken Gonzaga to overtime or even come close to beating them throughout the season. And
But
so
Baylor, what a
when
show on defense! Oh my
yeah,
God.
when that happens, when Gonzaga, I think they were told, well, damn, we can be beat, and Baylor was like, damn, they can be beat, and Baylor just went out and beat them. There's nothing more to it really. They killed them.
They beat him. This was one of the most upsets in, I think, tournament ever. Like first few rounds, it was insane. We had the best moments was when
Well,
Oral Roberts like upset
Ohio State, that was
Ohio
great. Yeah,
State, and then
there were so
you
many
had
so
like
many
the
great moments.
Arkansas Texas Tech game was actually pretty good. But I think honestly
It was.
the most exciting team to watch for me was Syracuse. Just the way
Yeah,
they
for
played, it
for
was really
me,
good.
of course, I'm based, but it's UCLA. I think they just played some amazing basketball, and I really enjoyed watching my team have this tournament run. Hopefully they'll be back next year. I'm sure they will, and they'll be even better, even higher seeded. I think Juzang is returning, and so are a couple of other players. That's gonna be trouble for Stanford, which is my main team, but my other favorite team, UCLA. I am so excited to see them next year. I think that's going to be it, though. It was a great tournament. Next year, hopefully, Elkin, I believe you're actually muted right now, but next year,
Oh
hopefully, we'll be
yeah.
able to get out a video of our brackets before the tournament. Uh,
But for
and
now,
then,
though,
yeah,
we gotta go eat dinner stuff. So let's. This has been season 2, episode 2 of Salty Sports, and it is
thank you for
Thursday,
watching.
April 15th. And thank you
Yes,
so
gotta put the
much.
timestamp. Make sure to follow our Instagram, YouTube, subscribe to YouTube, follow our Spotify and our Anchor and all the other stuff. Links are in our bios, no matter what you are watching this on. Thank you. We'll see you guys next time, and peace.